Rascal Flatts' guitarist Joe Don Rooney has made his way back into the public eye after stepping away for a couple of years following his DUI conviction from 2021, battling with substance abuse and mental health concerns, as well as his divorce. As we know, Joe Don Rooney announced that he is now 28 months sober and is doing much better and is looking forward to a bright and positive 2024, which is absolutely outstanding and just wonderful to see from Joe. And since Rooney has reappeared, it seems as though a good therapeutic method for him has been to be completely transparent about his recovery with fans, sharing his journey on social media. And just yesterday, Rooney turned to his X account, where he shared that he had what he described as a PTSD experience on this past Sunday while flying. Rooney went into very candid and great detail about the panic attack, sharing that this incident really had him freaking out and that the experience was a huge experience for him as he continues his road to recovery and sobriety. He writes, "Let me tell you about my PTSD experience Sunday evening flying from Denver to Nash. This affected me and every single passenger on the plane, but my story and experience might be a little different than the majority of other passengers. 11:05 p.m. We landed on time at Nash. The flight was perfect. 2 hours and uneventful, just like I like. Then we sat on the tarmac waiting for a gate for 3 hours. And as y'all know, I'm in recovery, and while in recovery from alcoholism, there are many triggers that can affect my sobriety, and this experience was a huge one for me. At 45 minutes, the captain came on apologizing, saying twice at that point, we're in line behind some other aircraft just waiting to taxi to our gate. So he turned off the seatbelt sign so we could stretch out if needed. That was the first real evidential sign that gave me that we're not going anywhere anytime soon kind of feeling. So I started freaking out a bit, and I had to take the one pill I had left of the medication I take nowadays for my anxiety. But it wasn't enough, and the rest of my medication was in my checked luggage buried underneath the aircraft. Side note here, I will pack more medication in my carry-on next flight. Now at this point, I grew desperate. I had to let the flight attendants know that not only am I in recovery, but I suffer from anxiety disorder and a bit of claustrophobia, which has gotten much better since I've been sober, mind you, but this situation kept heating up my body and mind to the point that I had to get up and move my body. I walked up to the front where the flight attendants' jump seats are located and had to have a conversation with them. I quietly told them all my ailments and that I didn't want to worry any other passengers. They were very sweet and calm and extremely helpful, asking if I needed an alcoholic beverage to calm me. So I repeated to them, no thank you, I'm in recovery, but still suffer from occasional high anxiety and claustrophobia. They were super understanding and actually let me sit in the lavatory off and on until someone else needed to use it. At 1 hour, I was in the lavatory trying to breathe slowly and deeply as the first beads of sweat started to drop from my forehead. I had walked out and back into the lavatory at least 5 times at that point for others to use. Understandably so, for how long we had already been trapped on that plane. My body temperature had to have risen, at least it felt that way to me. I put my earbuds in and listened to meditation music counting backwards from 100 by 7s, then by 9, so on and so forth. I called my case manager and then a good sober friend in recovery and had short but poignant combos with them. That helped me big time. Then back to meditation music and counting backwards from 100 by 4s this time. At 1 hour and 45 minutes. The captain came back on and said we would finally be taxiing on to the gate in 20 minutes. He apologized again, saying because of the winter storm in Nash and the late hour we arrived, B&A had a skeleton crew and were helping the planes that had already landed before us. Then the B&A skeleton crew would get us a gate and we could finally begin to taxi to the gate and get off the plane. He asked us to sit back in our seats with our seatbelts back on in hopes that we would soon taxi on. After 2 hours and 15 minutes. Still sitting back in my seat with my seatbelt on. By the way, that lavatory felt like a very large suite at the Ritz because it was just me and the air vent was blowing that glorious cold air on my face, strong as a Dyson hairdryer. But since the captain instructed us, I needed to sit back in my seat, and that was fine with me because at that moment, I'm thinking, sweet, only 20 more minutes and we'll be there. But excruciatingly, that time came and went. At this point, I was literally having flashbacks of that solitary confinement tiny jail cell where I was put in for 48 hours back in June of 2022. But I truly deserve that, and that's another story for another time. I am now in my seatbelt strapped around me, and I'm freaking out now more than ever, saying to myself, damn, I gotta be here in this seat till the sun comes up. Then at 2 hours and 45 minutes. The captain said, we have a gate. What an incredible feeling. We taxied to our gate, but we then sat at the gate for another 15 minutes. At this point, I'm sweating beads the size of 50 BMG bullets. We are so close to getting off this aircraft, but not quite yet. I say another prayer to God, asking for the strength to hang on just a little longer, and as the meditation music played softly through my earbuds and my palms continued to sweat little puddles, that big beautiful passenger boarding bridge finally started slowly extending out toward our airplane door. And then the magic happened. The simple impact and sweet sound of the bridge connecting to the plane gently shook the plane and me to the point that I felt freedom rattle my bones. I could finally breathe normally and naturally, and as the seatbelt sign turned off, I unbuckled, got up, and grabbed my guitar from the overhead bin. I surveyed the plane and saw the joy in the other passengers' faces. It was a relief I haven't felt in some time. 2 a.m. We walked through B&A, down the escalator, and gathered around the baggage claim carousel, tired and worn out, looking like zombies waiting for our precious cargo to come sliding through the chute and onto that gorgeous black conveyor belt. Our bags weren't coming out, and that gorgeous black conveyor belt was at a standstill. We ended up having to wait until 4 a.m. for our bags to come out. During that time, I found a wall next to the men's bathroom. I hunkered down and sat there on the floor and waited. After an hour of waiting, I was finally able to laugh, and I mean laugh out loud. Laugh about the whole ordeal. People were looking at me like I was the Joker from Batman, losing my mind, laughing out loud because the fever in me had finally broke and I was no longer filled with anxiety and claustrophobia from that nightmarish event. I was free and I was tired and giddy like a young schoolboy. 4 a.m. That gorgeous black conveyor belt started roaring its little motor and moving, and our bags finally started flying through the chute. I grabbed my precious old beat-up suitcase, drug it behind me, and walked out of those B&A sliding double doors, loaded up my SUV, and drove home through the crazy winter storm. What normally takes 20 minutes took 45 minutes, but I was so happy barreling down I-440 at 30 miles per hour, still laughing about the traumatic event I had just experienced, but thrilled to be going home. I tell you this story for a couple of different reasons. One, I want to know, have y'all had a similar experience like this, or maybe worse? And two, I really wish that airlines had a good system for helping people that suffer from the ailments I suffer from. He tags United and asks, is there anything y'all can do to help people like myself get through a painful waiting process and traumatic experience like I had? Again, it seems Joe Don Rooney is making great progression with his recovery and his sobriety, and this method of turning to social media and being transparent with the fans really seems to be a therapeutic method for him, and we are wishing him the best as he continues to get back on the straight and narrow and working to hopefully get back with Rascal Flatts, and maybe we can eventually get that farewell tour that fans were highly anticipating back just a couple of years ago. Be sure to show some love and support down below for Joe Don Rooney, y'all. And as always, thank y'all for tuning in here at CountryCast. That will be it for today's video.